Hi everyone, Larry here. Welcome to Travel Guided Photography. If you're new to the channel, thank you and welcome. If you're returning to the channel, thank you and welcome back. Also, if you're returning to the channel, you probably noticed that I'm in a different location yet again. After a 14-day quarantine in Bangkok, I finally made it to my house in northwest Thailand. And I'll be here probably for a few months as I wait for my next ship. Those of you that are also returning know for the past 12 years, I've lived and worked on cruise ships throughout the world. 8 of those years, during the summer, I spent in Alaska, and that gives me a very unique perspective. This is the 6th video on a 7-part series of cruising to Alaska in the Inside Passage. The first was on itineraries. That's a really important video to watch if you haven't already done so. And that's because on any cruise, itineraries are very important because it's going to help you select and decide which glaciers you want to see while you're on your cruise. The next 3 videos were on the 3 main ports, those being Ketchikan, Juneau, and Skagway. In the Skagway video, I also included Haines because many shore excursions travel to Haines. This video, the 6th in the series, is going to be on shore excursions. I decided to do a separate video on this because I thought after seeing some of the other videos on the ports, you might want to focus just on the tours and excursions once you decided which itinerary you're going to take. And then finally, the next video will be on wildlife because as a wildlife photographer, I would be remiss if I didn't do a video on wildlife. And that will complete the 7-part series on Alaska. Very quickly, I want to clear something up. A few of you have contacted me and asked if the photographs in the videos are mine or if they're stock. I've been a professional photojournalist and published since 1979. So all the images in the videos are my photographs. With that said, let's explore the possibilities of the Tours and Shore Excursions that you'll find on an Alaskan in an Inside Passage cruise. Start with the one that's furthest south, the Sawyer Glacier. I don't know if all ships do it. I don't know if all cruise lines do it, but I know on Princess at least one ship does it because I did it. So check your itineraries. And it's one that I would absolutely say when you first get to the ship, go to the shore excursion desk and see if they do this because it's a limited load and it's going to fill up quick. What happens is there's 2 different tours. And if I remember right, they're probably 2.5 to 3 hours long. Maybe a little less, I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I've done it. But they bring an excursion boat up alongside the ship that holds 100 people. You load up and you take off for the glacier. You're going to see a lot of wildlife, usually seals, although we did see some mountain goats. Also, there's some cascades along the way, a few waterfalls along the way, but it's really well worth doing and I can't press it any more urgently. If you have the chance to do this tour, absolutely do it. It's one of the best things I've ever done in Alaska. I have 2 favorite tours in Ketchikan, and both are scenic and wildlife tours. Depending on the time of year and what you want to see is how you decide which tour to take. Aurora Bird and Bears is the easy choice for me and offers a 3-hour custom tour. I met Rich Lee, the owner, after many of my patients told me how much they enjoyed his tour. He always has a smile on his face, and over the years we have become very good friends. Rich is Native American, born and raised in Ketchikan. He will tell you of Ketchikan's colorful past. You will visit a waterfall, the historic chief house, totem poles, and maybe even spot a whale and bald eagles as you drive along the coast. There are no brown bears in Ketchikan. Almost all the tour companies go to Herring Creek. However, most tours are maybe 90 minutes long, unlike the 3 hours that Rich offers. And they spend maybe 15 to 20 minutes at Herring Creek before they hustle you off, head back to town, and pick up their next group. Rich will stay as long as you like, and even drop you off downtown or at Cape Fox Lodge for lunch. Afterwards, you can even take a free shuttle back to the ship. Another favorite tour is the Bering Sea Crab Fishing Tour aboard the Aleutian Ballad. Featured on Season 2 of The Deadliest Catch, you will love this tour. The captain and owner, Dave Lethine, and his merry misfits are extremely knowledgeable and will keep you thoroughly entertained on this 3-hour tour. You will learn what it's like to be on a crab fishing boat from men that actually lived it. The highlight for me and many is when the boat heads to Annette Island. Annette Island is a Native American reservation that extends a half-mile into the bay, and Dave has an agreement with the tribe allowing him access. Being native land, some of Alaska's rules don't apply, like chumming with herring. Once the boat stops and the crew starts throwing herring into the water, 20 or 30 or 40 eagles come flying out of the trees like clouds of mosquito. More than once on the tour, I have heard people say, I have eagles at home, or I've seen eagles before. But once they experienced this, those same people said, I have never seen anything like this my entire life. So those are my two favorite tours in Ketchikan. Whale season runs from May through September, and Juneau is where you see whales. It is almost guaranteed. I've taken many tours and I've never been disappointed. And if you are lucky, you may even see a pod of orcas. There's a wide variety of whale tours to book from the ship or from shore. My favorite costs a little more, but that's because it's a small boat tour of around 10 to 12 people, and you are not fighting 40 or 50 guests like on most other boats to take a photo. If you're booking from the ship, look carefully at the excursions offered. You will find a small boat tour. And there are many places to book on shore. My favorite is Marvin Harb's whale watching tours. Their small boat tour is reasonably priced and 3 hours long, almost an hour longer than most other companies. If you're a little more adventurous like me, give Matt at Bear Creek Outfitters a call. Here I accomplished a couple of my bucket list items, starting with a ride on a float plane. My destination? Fly fishing for salmon, which I caught, along with grayling and Darley Varden. My next tour with Matt was photographing Kodiak brown bears. Bear tours are later in the summer, usually starting around the end of July when the salmon are in the streams. After a float plane landed and a short easy hike, I found myself at a cascade on a small stream. When photographing wildlife, patience is the key. In about 45 minutes, a sow and her cubs showed up, and I spent the next hour or so clicking away. Both of these tours are well worth the price, and I would certainly take either one of them again. Another favorite is the Taku Lodge Feast and 5 Glacier Seaplane Discovery Tour with Wings Airlines. This is a 3-hour tour that starts at the end of the pier where you board a seaplane. After takeoff, you are treated to flight scene as you soar over 5 separate glaciers. Landing at the remote Taku Lodge, you have enough time to take a short hike or just sit and relax in a comfortable chair as you take in the view of Taku Glacier only a stone's throw away. Soon after that, you are in for a real treat. A delicious meal of wild salmon, cooked over an alderwood fire. Afterwards, you have a little more time to relax, and maybe you will even spot a bear like I did. Finally, you board the plane and head back to Juneau. For those of you that want to see a glacier up close and personal, the Mendenhall Glacier is just north of Juneau. Some choose a tour on a kayak on Mendenhall Lake. Others may choose a tour that goes to the ice caves. And still others may take a tour on a helicopter that actually lands on the top of the glacier itself. Another alternative is to take a tour or taxi to the visitor center at Mendenhall Lake. There is an easy 1-mile hike that leads to the lake, ending at the foot of Nugget Falls, which is 377 feet high. Here you will also enjoy a beautiful view of Mendenhall Glacier on the far side of the lake. There are many tours to take in Juneau, and these are just a few of my favorites. One of my hands-down favorite tours in all of Alaska can be found in Skagway. It's a flight scene tour with mountain flying service. Pilot Paul Swanstrom offers an unforgettable experience with 3 different flights. They include a 1-hour flight over the east arm of Glacier Bay National Park, a 1.3 hour over the west arm, and a 2-hour grand flight over the Glacier Bay National Park to the Pacific Ocean. I've done the first 2 flights a number of times, and I plan on the grand tour flight next. On the flight, you'll see a number of glaciers as they make their way to the ocean, and there will be snow-covered mountains as far as the eye can see. We even spotted bear and mountain goats. Depending on the time of year, you can even schedule landing on a glacier or a remote beach. Believe me, it is well worth the price, and I will certainly do it again. One of the favorites of many is the White Pass and Yukon Railway. Tracing the steps from Skagway's pioneers, the train and its vintage parlor cars climbs nearly 3,000 feet to White Pass, where it crosses into Canada's Yukon Territory on this nearly 3-hour-long tour. You'll cross over train trestles and through tunnels along the way. In the spring, you are greeted by white blankets of snow, and in the summer, the mountains are covered with wildflowers. I've done both seasons and was equally impressed. There are a number of different train tours you can take in Skagway. I would suggest taking a tour on the train on the way up and a bus on the way back, stopping at Liarsville for a salmon bake. They even have a tour where you can take the train to the top and then bicycle back down the hill to Skagway. For those seeking a bit of adventure, try the Grizzly Falls ziplining expedition. Boarding the bus at the ship, you'll travel 30 minutes to the historic ghost town of Dyea, where you will continue on to Grizzly Falls and climb the mountain to base camp. After a safety talk, you'll put on the gear and you'll be off on your 90-minute adventure through the rainforest. You will travel back to camp on 11 different zip lines over streams and through the forest. For those that you want to explore the town of Skagway itself, there are a number of tours, including the Days of '98 show. Since 1923, this vaudevillian musical recounts Skagway's gold rush days, complete with the legend of the notorious Soapy Smith and Can-Can girls kicking up their heels. I mentioned Haines briefly, and I have not spent a lot of time there other than on excursions, all of which either start or end with a 45-minute high-speed ferry ride, either to or from Haines. It's a very scenic ride, and you will pass a number of waterfalls as you travel across the inlet. Eagle Preserve and Wildlife Quest is a wonderful adventure. Upon arrival in Haines, you board a bus for a 40-minute ride to the Chilkat Bald Eagle Preserve. Your journey begins when you board an 18-foot inflatable raft with an expert guide. Keep your camera ready because at any moment wildlife might appear, including eagles, bear, and moose. One favorite in Haines is the Chilkoot Wilderness and Wildlife Viewing Tour. I have taken this tour a number of times and I've always seen Kodiak brown bears. After the ferry ride to Haines, you board a bus and are taken to the Chilkoot Lake State Park. It's a short ride along the shoreline and you will reach the turnout to the Chilkoot River and Chilkoot Lake. You'll spend approximately 2 hours there, and I've seen bears at both the lake and the stream. Arriving back in town, you'll be given a short historic tour from the bus before boarding the ferry. Another favorite of mine is the Crowshell Films Wildlife Center tour in Haines. A total of the tour is a little over 6 hours, including the ferry and bus ride to the refuge. You will have plenty of time to see and photograph a variety of wildlife. You will find everything from mink, fox and porcupines, to wolf, moose, reindeer, and even a Kodiak brown bear. Photographers and nature lovers alike will love this tour. One last tour I need to mention in Haines is the Glacier Point Wilderness Safari. Your 45-minute ride on a high-speed custom boat passes Haines. You will arrive and take a short drive to a stream and board a 31-foot canoe with your guide. Then you paddle downstream across a small lake to the Gibson Glacier. Stepping out of the canoe, you are literally at the face of the glacier. You have plenty of time to take photos before you journey back to the ship. The goal of the channel is for you to benefit from my experiences and my advice. If you've enjoyed travel guide and photography, please subscribe. It costs nothing. Please hit the bell to be notified of my next post, and please hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please list them below, and I promise I will answer each and every one of them. Again, thank you for visiting Travel Guide and Photography. And let's explore the possibilities of traveling the world together. As crew, my comments and opinions are my own. I do not represent any cruise line or the company I work for in any manner.